The hardware store smelled like sawdust and motor oil on Christmas Eve morning. Marcus Reed stood behind the counter, watching his daughter Emma press her nose against the front window, her breath fogging the glass in small circles. She was drawing something with her finger. A tree, maybe, or a star. He couldn't tell from where he stood. "Dad, how many more hours?" Emma asked without turning around. "3, Marcus said, glancing at the clock. "Then we'll grab pizza and watch that movie you picked." She nodded, still focused on her window art. She was 7, small for her age, with dark curls that never stayed in the ponytail he attempted each morning. Her red sweater had a reindeer on it, one he'd found at the thrift store 2 weeks ago. The antlers were slightly crooked, but Emma loved it. The bell above the door chimed. Marcus looked up, ready with his customer service smile, but it faded when he saw who walked in. Catherine Wright moved through the store like she owned it, which, technically, she did. She owned the building, at least. Owned half the commercial real estate on this street. Marcus paid rent to a management company, but he'd seen her name on the paperwork. Everyone in town knew who Catherine Wright was. She wore a charcoal coat that probably cost more than his monthly revenue. Her dark hair pulled back in a way that looked effortless, but wasn't. She was maybe 40, though Marcus had never asked, had never spoken to her beyond a polite nod when their paths crossed on the sidewalk. "Excuse me," she said, her voice carrying the kind of confidence that came from boardrooms and decisions that moved millions. "Do you carry LED string lights? White, not colored?" Marcus pointed toward aisle 3. "Left side, middle shelf." She nodded and walked that direction, her heels clicking against the old wooden floor. Emma had turned from the window now, watching the woman with open curiosity. "She's pretty," Emma whispered. "She's a customer," Marcus whispered back. "Go grab the step stool from the back, please. I need to restock the batteries." Emma disappeared into the storage room, and Marcus busied himself with receipts, trying not to notice when Catherine Wright returned to the counter with 3 boxes of lights and a package of extension cords. "Will this be everything?" he asked. "Yes." She pulled out a credit card, then paused. "You're open until noon?" "That's right." "And tomorrow, Christmas Day?" "Closed," Marcus said. "We'll reopen on the 26th. Something shifted in her expression, so brief he almost missed it. "Of course. Thank you." He ran her card, bagged her items, and handed them over. She was halfway to the door when Emma emerged from the back room, dragging the step stool with both hands. "Merry Christmas!" Emma called out, her voice bright and unself-conscious. Catherine Wright stopped, turned. For a moment, she just looked at Emma, and Marcus saw something in her face he couldn't name. Something that looked almost like pain. "Merry Christmas," Catherine said quietly. Then she left, the bell chiming behind her. Catherine sat in her car for 5 minutes before starting the engine. The hardware store bag rested on the passenger seat, the white lights visible through the plastic. She'd bought them on impulse, thinking she might decorate the house, something she hadn't done in 3 years. Not since Daniel left. Not since the divorce papers arrived on Christmas Eve, like some kind of cruel joke. The house waited for her on Willow Ridge, a colonial revival with 6 bedrooms and a view of the lake. She'd bought it because the real estate agent said it was perfect for families. That was before she realized she'd be living there alone. Her phone buzzed. Another message from her mother. "Are you sure you won't come to Scottsdale? We'd love to have you." Catherine deleted it without responding. She'd had this conversation 3 times already. She wasn't flying to Arizona to sit through her mother's pity party, fielding questions about why she worked so much, why she hadn't started dating again, why she'd let Daniel slip away as if that had been her choice. She drove home through streets decorated with wreaths and inflatable snowmen. Her neighbors had gone all out this year. The Hendersons with their synchronized light display. The Kramers with their life-size nativity scene. Her own house sat dark except for the porch light she'd left on that morning. Inside, the silence pressed against her ears. She set the bag of lights on the kitchen counter and stared at them. What had she been thinking? That stringing up some LEDs would suddenly make this feel less like a mausoleum. The doorbell rang. Catherine frowned. She wasn't expecting anyone. Probably carolers, or a neighbor dropping off cookies she'd have to pretend to appreciate. She opened the door and found Emma from the hardware store standing on her porch, alone. "Hi," Emma said, smiling. "I brought you something." Catherine's stomach dropped. "Where's your father?" "At the store still. I walked here. It's not far." Emma held up a small object wrapped in newspaper comics. "I made this for you." "You..." Catherine looked past Emma, scanning the street. "Does your dad know you're here?" "I left him a note." Emma thrust the gift forward. "Open it." Catherine's hands moved automatically. Taking the package, her mind racing through scenarios. Child services, liability. What the hell was this kid thinking? She unwrapped the newspaper carefully. Inside was a small wooden star, painted gold, with Emma's name written on the back in unsteady letters. "I made it in art class," Emma explained. "Mrs. Patterson said we should give them to someone who needs light. You looked sad in the store, so I thought maybe you needed it." Catherine's throat tightened. "Emma, this is very sweet, but you can't just walk to strangers' houses. Your dad is probably worried sick. You're not a stranger. You came to our store." Emma peered past Catherine into the house. "Wow, your house is really big. Do you have kids?" "No," Catherine said. "I don't." "Oh." Emma processed this. "So you're alone for Christmas?" The question hit like a physical thing. Catherine opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. "Emma, we need to call your father." "I have his number memorized." Emma recited it proudly. Catherine pulled out her phone, dialed, and waited. It rang 4 times before a man's voice answered, breathless and tight with panic. "Emma, this is Catherine Wright. I live at 412 Willow Ridge. Your daughter is here with me. She's fine." The exhale on the other end sounded like it came from his whole body. "Thank God. I'm coming right now. 5 minutes. Please just keep her there." "Of course." Catherine hung up and looked at Emma, who was now examining a framed photograph on the entryway table. Catherine receiving some award, shaking hands with the mayor, smiling a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Is this you?" Emma asked. "Yes. You look different, happier." "That was a few years ago. What changed?" Catherine didn't know how to answer that. She didn't know how to explain to a 7-year-old that happiness wasn't something you built in a boardroom, that success measured in profit margins didn't keep you warm at night, that you could have everything and still feel like you had nothing at all. "Life got complicated," Catherine said finally. Emma nodded like this made perfect sense. "My dad says that too. After my mom left, everything got complicated." Before Catherine could respond, headlights swept across the front windows. A pickup truck jerked to a stop in her driveway, and Marcus Reed practically fell out of it, his face a mixture of relief and terror. Marcus had never moved so fast in his life. The note Emma left, gone to give the sad lady her present back soon, had sent him into a spiral of worst-case scenarios. He'd closed the store without counting the register, left the lights on, and driven through his small town like a man possessed. Now, he stood on Catherine Wright's porch, his daughter safe in front of him, and all that fear converted instantly into anger. "What were you thinking?" His voice came out harsher than he intended. "You can't just leave like that. You can't walk to someone's house without telling me." Emma's face crumpled. "But I left a note." "A note isn't permission." Marcus ran his hand through his hair, trying to calm down, trying not to yell. "You could have been hurt. You could have been lost. You could have..." He stopped, because his voice was shaking now. "I'm sorry," Emma whispered. Marcus pulled her into a hug, fierce and tight. "You scared me," he said into her hair. "You really scared me." "I just wanted to help," Emma said, muffled against his chest. "She looks so sad, Dad." Marcus looked up and met Catherine Wright's eyes. She stood in her doorway, still holding the wooden star, and her expression was unreadable. He suddenly became aware of how he must look, unshaven, wearing the same flannel he'd worn yesterday, his jeans stained with paint from a project 3 days ago. "I'm so sorry," he said to Catherine. "She's never done anything like this before. I don't know what—" "She was trying to be kind," Catherine interrupted. Her voice was different now, softer than it had been in the store. "She thought I needed this." She held up the star. Marcus looked at his daughter, then back at Catherine. "That doesn't make it okay." "No," Catherine agreed. "But it wasn't malicious. Just misguided." "Misguided," Marcus repeated. The word felt diplomatic, carefully chosen. He supposed that's what wealthy people did, chose their words carefully, kept their emotions wrapped up in courtesy. "Right, well, we'll get out of your hair." He guided Emma toward the truck, his hand on her shoulder. "Wait," Catherine called. They both turned. Catherine stood in her doorway, silhouetted by the warm light from inside her house, and for a moment, she looked uncertain, vulnerable. "Tomorrow," she said. "Christmas Day. Do you have plans?" Marcus blinked. "We were just going to watch movies and eat Chinese takeout. Why?" "Because I was going to spend it alone," Catherine said. "And your daughter is right. I am sad. And maybe—" She trailed off, then seemed to gather herself. "Would you like to come to dinner? Both of you? I'm not a great cook, but I can manage a decent meal." The offer hung in the cold air between them. Marcus stared at her, trying to process this turn of events. His first instinct was to say no, to protect Emma from getting involved with someone like Catherine Wright, someone from a different world, someone whose kindness might evaporate as quickly as it appeared. But Emma was already pulling on his sleeve. "Can we, Dad? Please?" He looked down at his daughter's hopeful face, then back at Catherine's guarded one. "Why?" he asked. Catherine's composure cracked just slightly. "Because your daughter gave me a gift I didn't know I needed. And because spending Christmas alone is harder than I thought it would be. And because—" She stopped, shook her head. "I don't know. Maybe I just don't want to spend another holiday pretending I'm fine when I'm not." The honesty in her voice surprised him. Marcus found himself nodding before he fully decided to. "Okay," he said. "What time?" 4 o'clock. We'll be here." Reiner and Catherine spent Christmas morning in a state of controlled panic. What had she been thinking? She didn't invite strangers to her house. She didn't open up to people she barely knew. She certainly didn't spend holidays with single fathers and their precocious daughters. But the alternative, another day of silence, another evening of avoiding her reflection in the dark windows, had seemed worse than the risk. She pulled a recipe box from the back of her pantry, one she hadn't opened in years. Her grandmother's handwriting stared up at her from yellowed index cards: pot roast, green bean casserole, apple pie. Food meant to feed families, to bring people together. The grocery store was nearly empty, just a few last-minute shoppers grabbing forgotten items. Catherine filled her cart methodically, checking items off her list, trying not to think too hard about what she was doing. At home, she worked with a focus usually reserved for contract negotiations. She seasoned the roast, chopped vegetables, rolled out pie crust. The kitchen filled with smells she'd almost forgotten: rosemary and thyme, cinnamon and butter. At 3:30, she changed clothes 3 times before settling on dark jeans and a soft sweater, casual but not sloppy, welcoming but not trying too hard. She set the dining room table, then second-guessed herself and moved everything to the kitchen table instead. More intimate, less formal. The doorbell rang at precisely 4 o'clock. Catherine opened the door to find Marcus holding a bottle of wine and Emma clutching a small tin. "We brought cookies," Emma announced. "Dad and I made them last night. Some of them are a little burned, but they still taste good." "They smell wonderful," Catherine said, and meant it. "Come in." She watched them shed their coats, take in their surroundings. Marcus's eyes moved over the high ceilings, the chandelier, the original hardwood floors. She saw him calculating, comparing, maybe regretting his decision to come. "Your house is beautiful," he said finally. "It's too big," Catherine replied without thinking. Then softer, "But thank you." Emma was already exploring, drawn to the Christmas tree Catherine had decorated that morning. A Douglas fir she'd had delivered, now hung with the white lights from the hardware store and a few ornaments she'd found in a box in the attic. "You put up my star." Emma pointed to the gold wooden star, hanging on a prominent branch near the center. "It's the most important ornament," Catherine said. "It needed the best spot." Emma beamed. They moved to the kitchen, where Catherine had plated appetizers, cheese and crackers, fruit, nuts. Nothing fancy, but Marcus and Emma approached it like a feast. Catherine realized with a start that maybe they didn't eat like this often, that maybe the casual abundance she took for granted was something special for them. "Can I help with anything?" Marcus asked. "You can open that wine," Catherine said, handing him a corkscrew, "assuming you drink wine. On special occasions." He worked the cork free with practiced ease. "Is this a special occasion? I think it might be." They fell into an easy rhythm. Catherine at the stove, Marcus setting out plates, Emma chattering about her school play and her favorite Christmas movies. The conversation flowed naturally, punctuated by laughter and comfortable silences. When they sat down to eat, Catherine felt something shift. The table didn't feel so empty anymore. The house didn't echo quite so much. "This is really good," Marcus said, and he sounded surprised. "My grandmother's recipe." Catherine cut into her pot roast. "I haven't made it in years." "Why not?" The question was innocent, but it hit a nerve. "Because cooking for one feels depressing," Catherine said. "Because it's easier to order takeout than to admit you're lonely." Emma looked up from her green beans. "You're not lonely now." "No," Catherine agreed, meeting the girl's eyes. "I'm not." After dinner, they moved to the living room. Emma sprawled on the floor, arranging Catherine's small collection of ornaments into elaborate patterns. Marcus sat on the couch, nursing his second glass of wine, and Catherine curled into the armchair across from him. "I need to apologize," Marcus said suddenly. "For what?" "For earlier. At the door. I was harsh with Emma, and you had to witness that. It wasn't—" He stopped, searching for words. "I'm not usually like that." "You were scared," Catherine said. "That's what good parents do when they're scared." "Are you a parent?" The question shouldn't have hurt, but it did. "No," Catherine said. "I'm not." "But you wanted to be." It wasn't a question. Catherine looked at him, this man she barely knew, and saw understanding in his eyes. "Yes," she said quietly. "I wanted to be." "What happened?" She should have deflected, should have changed the subject. Instead, she heard herself saying, "My ex-husband decided he wanted a different life, one that didn't include me or the family we'd planned. He left 3 years ago on Christmas Eve. Said he'd met someone who made him feel alive in ways I never could." Marcus winced. Jesus. The worst part is that I believed him. I spent so much time building my career, making money, acquiring things. I thought that's what mattered. I thought if I was successful enough, everything else would fall into place. Catherine twisted her wine glass. "Turns out you can be wildly successful and completely alone." "Success looks different to everyone," Marcus said. "For me, it's making sure Emma feels safe and loved, that she has what she needs, even if we can't afford everything she wants, that when she looks back on her childhood, she remembers being happy." "Her mother," Catherine started, then stopped. "Sorry, that's too personal." "It's okay. She left when Emma was 3, said motherhood wasn't what she expected, said she felt trapped." Marcus glanced at his daughter, who was now humming to herself, oblivious to the adult conversation. "I was angry for a long time. At her, at myself, at the whole situation. But Emma didn't deserve that anger, so I learned to let it go. How? By focusing on what I could control, by showing up every day, by being present. He met Catherine's eyes. That's all we can do, really. Show up and try our best. Catherine felt tears prick her eyes. I've spent 3 years not showing up for my own life, just going through the motions, working, sleeping, working some more, avoiding anything that might make me feel something. And now I'm sitting in my kitchen on Christmas Day with 2 people I barely know, and I feel more alive than I have in years. She laughed, slightly hysterical. That probably sounds crazy. It sounds honest. They sat in comfortable silence for a while, watching Emma play. The girl had moved on from ornaments and was now examining the books on Catherine's shelf, pulling out titles and studying the covers. "Can I ask you something?" Catherine said. "Sure. Why did you say yes to coming here? You could have just declined politely. Most people would have." Marcus considered this. "Because Emma saw something in you that I missed. She has this way of reading people, of seeing past the surface. And if she thought you needed kindness, then I trust that instinct." He paused. "Also, Chinese takeout gets old after a while." Catherine laughed, a real laugh that came from somewhere deep. Emma looked up. "What's funny?" "Your dad," Catherine said. "He's funny, I know." Emma returned to the books. "He tells bad jokes all the time. Last week he said, what do you call a snowman with a six-pack? And I said, what? And he said, an abdominal snowman." She made a face. "It's not even clever." Marcus grinned. "She's a tough critic." "The toughest," Emma agreed. 2 hours later, Emma had fallen asleep on the couch, her head pillowed on a throw cushion. Catherine covered her with a blanket and dimmed the lights. "I should get her home," Marcus said, but he didn't move. "She looks comfortable." "She does." Marcus studied his daughter's peaceful face. "Thank you for this, for all of it." "I should be thanking you." Catherine sat back down. "I didn't realize how much I needed this until it happened." "What will you do tomorrow? Go back to work?" "Probably." Catherine felt the familiar pull of responsibility, of emails and meetings and decisions. "That's what I do. I work." "That's not all you do," Marcus said gently. "Today you cooked. You opened your home. You connected with people. That matters too. It's just one day. Every change starts with one day." Catherine looked at him. This man in his worn jeans and slightly rumpled shirt, and felt something shift in her chest. "You're very wise for a hardware store owner." "I read a lot," Marcus said, "mostly while waiting for Emma to fall asleep. Philosophy, poetry, whatever I can find at the library." "What are you reading now?" "Mary Oliver. You know her." Catherine shook her head. "She has this line I love. Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life?" Marcus smiled softly. "I think about that a lot. What I'm doing with mine. What I'm teaching Emma to do with hers. And what are you teaching her? That kindness matters more than money. That being present is better than being perfect. That home is people, not places." He gestured around Catherine's beautiful empty house. "You can have all this and still be homeless, or you can have nothing and be completely at home. It's about who you're with." The words settled over Catherine like a weight. She thought about her house, her cars, her investment portfolio. She thought about the spreadsheets and contracts and quarterly reports. She thought about the last 3 years of her life, moving through spaces without inhabiting them. "I don't know how to do that," she admitted. "Be present. Be home. I've spent so long building walls that I don't remember how to let people in. You let us in today. That was different. That was..." Catherine stopped. "I don't know what that was." "It was a start," Marcus said. "That's all any of us get. A chance to start." Emma stirred on the couch, murmuring something about cookies. Marcus stood, prepared to wake her, but Catherine touched his arm. "Let her sleep a few more minutes," she said. "Please." Marcus settled back down. They sat together in the quiet house, the Christmas tree lights casting soft colors across the walls, and Catherine felt something she hadn't felt in years. Peace. Simple, uncomplicated peace. The week between Christmas and New Year passed in a strange blur. Catherine went back to work, but her focus had splintered. She found herself thinking about that dinner, about the easy warmth of Marcus's laugh, about Emma's unself-conscious joy. On December 28th, she did something impulsive. She closed her laptop at 3 in the afternoon, drove to the hardware store and walked in like she had a purpose. Marcus looked up from the register, surprised. "Catherine, hi." "Hi." She suddenly felt foolish. What was she doing here? "I need sandpaper." "Sandpaper." He didn't quite hide his smile. "What grit?" Medium." "For what project?" Catherine's mind went blank. "A table. I'm refinishing a table." "You are?" "I'm thinking about it." Marcus came around the counter. "Let me show you the options." He led her to the appropriate aisle, explaining the differences between grits, between brands, between purposes. Catherine barely heard him. She was too focused on his hands, the way they moved when he talked, the calluses on his palms from years of manual work. "Catherine," she blinked. "Sorry." "What?" "I asked if you actually have a table to refinish." "No," she admitted. "I just wanted to see you." The honesty surprised them both. Marcus set down the sandpaper he'd been holding. "Oh, that was too direct, wasn't it? I'm not good at this, at whatever this is." "This is two people who had a nice evening together and maybe want to have another one," Marcus said carefully. "Unless I'm reading this wrong." "You're not reading it wrong." "Then let me take you to dinner, tomorrow night. Somewhere that's not your house or my store." "What about Emma?" "My neighbor can watch her. She babysits sometimes when I need help." Catherine nodded, her heart beating faster than it should. "Okay, yes, dinner. 7 o'clock, I'll pick you up." She left the store without buying sandpaper, driving home with a smile on her face that wouldn't quit. The next evening, Catherine changed outfits 4 times before settling on dark jeans and a blue sweater. Casual, approachable, not trying too hard. Marcus arrived exactly at 7, wearing clean jeans and a button-down shirt that made his eyes look darker. He opened the truck door for her, a gesture that felt both old-fashioned and sweet. The restaurant he chose was a small Italian place on Main Street, the kind of family-owned establishment Catherine usually drove past without noticing. Inside, it smelled like garlic and fresh bread, and every table was full of couples and families talking over checkered tablecloths. "This okay?" Marcus asked, suddenly looking uncertain. "I know it's not fancy." "It's perfect," Catherine said, and meant it. They ordered wine and pasta, and the conversation flowed as easily as it had on Christmas. Marcus told her about growing up in foster care, about putting himself through community college while working 2 jobs, about the day Emma was born, and how he'd held her in the hospital and promised to be everything she needed. Catherine talked about her own childhood, wealthy but cold, parents who measured love in achievements rather than affection. She talked about building her business from the ground up, about the satisfaction of closing a deal, about the emptiness of success when there was no one to share it with. "I don't want to be empty anymore," she said over tiramisu. "I don't want to spend my life in that house alone, pretending I'm fine." "Then don't," Marcus said simply. "It's not that easy." "Isn't it?" He reached across the table, took her hand. "You decide what your life looks like. You decide who you let in. You decide if you want to keep building walls or start opening doors." Catherine looked at their joined hands, hers soft and manicured, his rough and capable. Different worlds, different lives, different everything. But in that moment, it didn't matter. "I want to open doors," she said quietly. Then let's start with this one. Marcus squeezed her hand gently. No pressure, no expectations. Just two people getting to know each other, seeing where it goes. And Emma. Emma already loves you. She's been talking about you nonstop since Christmas, about your big house and your kind eyes and how you put her star on the tree. He smiled. You made an impression. She made an impression too. Catherine felt her throat tighten. I never thought I'd get a chance at this, at being part of someone's life, at mattering to a child. You matter, Marcus said. You matter to both of us. They left the restaurant hand in hand, walking slowly to his truck even though the night was cold. Marcus drove her home, walked her to her door, and kissed her cheek with a gentleness that made her chest ache. Can I see you again? He asked. Tomorrow, Catherine said, and the day after that, and the day after that. He smiled. That's a lot of days. I have a lot of time to make up for. A New Year's Eve arrived bright and cold. Catherine had been invited to 3 different parties, industry events with champagne and networking and the kind of shallow conversations she used to endure. She declined all of them. Instead, she found herself at Marcus's apartment, a modest 2-bedroom above a dry cleaner. Emma greeted her at the door wearing a sparkly dress and a tiara. We're having a fancy party, Emma announced, with sparkling juice and cheese cubes. The apartment was small but warm, filled with mismatched furniture and Emma's artwork covering the refrigerator. Marcus had set up a card table with a tablecloth, plastic champagne flutes, and an array of snacks that probably represented his entire party budget. This is amazing, Catherine said. It's not much, Marcus started, but she cut him off. It's everything. They played board games and ate cheese cubes and taught Emma to play poker with chocolate chips as currency. At 11, Emma started to fade, her head drooping onto the table. Someone's not making it to midnight, Marcus said fondly. I am too, Emma mumbled, but her eyes were already closing. Marcus carried her to bed, and Catherine followed, watching as he tucked his daughter in, kissed her forehead, and whispered something that made Emma smile in her half-sleep. When he emerged from the bedroom, Catherine was standing in the living room, looking at a photo on the wall. Marcus and Emma at the beach, both grinning, both sun-kissed and happy. She's lucky to have you, Catherine said. I'm the lucky one. Marcus came to stand beside her. She saved me. When her mother left, I was lost. Emma gave me purpose, gave me a reason to be better. I want to be part of this, Catherine said suddenly. Part of your lives. I know it's fast, and I know it's complicated, but I can't pretend I don't feel this. Marcus turned to face her fully. What do you feel? Hope, Catherine said. For the first time in years, I feel hope. He kissed her then, soft and sure. And Catherine felt something inside her crack open, something she'd kept locked away for so long, she'd forgotten it was there. The possibility of love, the possibility of family, the possibility of home. When they pulled apart, the clock read 11:58. 2 minutes to midnight, Marcus said. 2 minutes to a new year, to new beginnings. They stood together at the window, watching the street below, waiting for the countdown. When midnight arrived, they heard fireworks in the distance, saw neighbors spilling onto porches, heard the collective cheer of a town celebrating. Happy New Year, Marcus said. Happy New Year, Catherine echoed. And for the first time in 3 years, she meant it. The months that followed weren't perfect. Catherine struggled with balancing her work demands with her desire to be present. Marcus worried about the gap between their bank accounts, about whether he could ever be enough for someone like her. Emma had moments of uncertainty, testing boundaries, asking questions about whether Catherine would leave like her mother had. But they worked through it. Catherine learned to leave the office at reasonable hours, to put her phone away during dinner, to show up for school plays and parent-teacher conferences. Marcus learned to accept help, to let Catherine contribute without feeling diminished, to trust that her love wasn't contingent on what he could provide. Emma learned that family came in many forms, that love didn't have to look a certain way to be real. By spring, Catherine's house didn't echo anymore. Emma's artwork covered the refrigerator. Marcus's tools filled the garage. The dining room table hosted weekly dinners, sometimes fancy, sometimes pizza, always filled with laughter and conversation. On a Saturday in April, Catherine came home from the grocery store to find Marcus and Emma in the backyard, building a garden bed. Emma's hands were covered in dirt, her face flushed with effort and joy. "We're planting tomatoes," Emma called, "and cucumbers and peppers and herbs." Catherine set down her bags and joined them, kneeling in the grass, letting the dirt cake under her fingernails. Marcus looked at her and smiled, and she smiled back, thinking about that Christmas dinner, about a wooden star on a tree, about a 7-year-old girl who'd seen something in her worth saving. "What are you thinking about?" Marcus asked. "That I used to have everything and nothing," Catherine said, "and now I have less of everything and so much more of something." "What's the something?" She looked at Emma, dirt-covered and radiant, looked at Marcus, patient and present, looked at the garden bed they were building together, planting seeds that would grow into something nourishing and alive. "This," Catherine said simply, "this is the something." Emma tugged her sleeve. "Catherine, can you help me dig this hole? It needs to be really deep for the tomato roots." "I can do that," Catherine said, taking the small shovel Emma offered. And she did. She dug in the dirt beside a child who called her by name, beside a man who looked at her like she was both ordinary and extraordinary, and she felt something she'd spent years chasing in boardrooms and bank statements and empty achievements. She felt home, not because of the house or the possessions or the success, but because of the people, because of the small hands trusting her with tomato plants, because of the quiet strength of a man who'd taught her that presence mattered more than presents, because of a Christmas invitation that had changed everything. The sun moved across the sky, warming their backs as they worked. Somewhere in the house, Catherine's phone buzzed with emails and messages and demands. She ignored it. This moment, dirt under her nails, laughter in the air, love growing like seeds in the ground. This moment was all that mattered. Emma finished her hole and stood back to admire it. "Perfect," she declared. Then she looked at Catherine, her expression serious. "Are you happy?" "Yes," Catherine said without hesitation. "I'm very happy." "Good." Emma nodded, satisfied. "Because Dad and I are happy too. We're happy together." Marcus met Catherine's eyes over Emma's head, and in that look was everything they'd built, everything they were becoming, everything they'd continue to grow. "Together," Catherine repeated softly. "That's exactly what we are." And in the backyard of a house that had once been too big and too empty, 3 people who'd found each other in the most unexpected way planted a garden and built a family and proved that the best gifts weren't wrapped in paper or planned in advance. Sometimes the best gifts arrived on your doorstep in the form of a wooden star. Sometimes they came from a child's intuition and a single dad's courage. Sometimes they grew from an invitation extended on impulse and accepted on faith. And sometimes, just sometimes, they bloomed into something more beautiful than anything you could have imagined.